here. So, if you want to start the list. No, you're probably not on. Yep, there you go.
All right. Hi, everybody. My name's Jonathan Tuttle. I'm a bargaining specialist with FEA. I've been asked to come and get the hand of these folks and be introduced to this process. It's new to me. I've been negotiating teacher and non-instructional contracts in Collier County for the past 20 years, but never interest-based, so I'm looking forward to this. I'm just going to go down this list we have here. Yes, I'm fine, thank you.
Skip that one.
And skip that one. Time constraints on all yours. Who's missing? I don't know who's missing. I'm sorry. Elephants? I do have, again, forgive me, I'm sort of new at this, just jumping in, but I am a little confused. I heard that compensation was a great priority of the superintendent's, and 4 months ago it was discussed. It is a priority for us, but yet, as I understand it, this group here does not have bargaining authority for compensation yet. So I'm a little confused about that. So my expectations is to get that and some other things cleared up and moving forward to some good agreements. Thank you.
And your expectations for this evening?
I thought I just covered that.
Okay, you did a combo.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that? Did not hear you.
I'm Jamie Michael, I'm fine, I'm the president, I have no time constraints. Penny Bennett won't be here because she's working her second job today. Tony's not gonna be here because she had a medical emergency with her son. My elephants are probably close to Jonathan's, and expectation is that we have a good session.
And I missed the first name, Jamie.
Penny
Penny.
Bennett.
Good evening, my name is Amanda Evans, bus operator out of East Zone and vice president of SPALC. Time for 7 o'clock. No elements. Expectation.
It's something done.
Good evening. My name is Arlise Williams. Good evening. My name is Arlise Williams. I am a bus operator for Trans South. I am the vice president of transportation. Time constraints 7 o'clock. The missing has been noted. No elephants, and expectations to get something done tonight.
Ken Neese, doing pretty well. Tech support specialist at Varsity Lakes Middle School. I believe the note missing on our side has been noted. No elephants, no time constraints, and expectations is also to make progress and get something done.
My name is Rafael Cruz. I'm the head custodian at Tropez Elementary. I'm doing excellent. I have no time constraints. Missing has been noted. No elephant. And my expectation is to get progress.
My name is Roderick Wilson. I'm doing fine. I'm a security specialist at Royal Palm. No time constraints. Missing has been noted. No elephants, and expectation is to make progress.
All right. Hi, I'm Robert Dodig. I'm good. I am Executive Director of Human Resources. I have no time constraints. We're here till 7, right? Is that the plan? Okay. Missing is Shanna, and I think Shanna didn't realize she was, I think she thought she was on just talc, but she's obviously on SPALC also, so we'll let her know that. I have no elephants. Expectation is to make progress.
Hi, I'm Will Rothenberg. I'm Director of Compensation and Labor Relations for the district. I am doing well. No time constraints. Missing, I would add Heather Leonard. No elephants, and expectation would be to have a good session.
Good afternoon. I am Amy Desamore, and I'm doing fine, thanks. I'm the Chief Financial Officer with the district. No time constraints. The missing's been noted. No elephants, and my expectations are that we get something done. I like that.
Hello, everybody. I'm Jason, principal at Hector Caffrey Elementary School. I am doing amazing. I have no time constraints. I think the missing has been noted, and I have no elephants. And my expectation is to have a great session.
My name is Jamie Browder. I am great. I'm the principal at Orangewood Elementary. No time constraints. We already know who's missing, and no elephants. And my expectation is to get something done.
Good evening, my name is Roger Lloyd. I'm doing well. I'm the Director of Transportation. 7 o'clock is my time constraint. People missing has been noted. I do not have any elephants, and I want to continue the progress. Thanks.
Hello, my name is Christine Trode. I'm a staff attorney here with the district. I am doing okay today. I have no time constraints except ending on time. Missing have been noted. I do not have any elephants, and my expectation is to get something done.
Good afternoon. My name is Bonnie McFarland. I'm the Director of Insurance and Benefits for the school district. I'm doing well. Time constraint is just ending on time at 7 o'clock. Missing have been noted. I don't have any elephants, and expectation, make progress.
Good afternoon, my name is Barbara Cedino, Assistant Director for Maintenance Services. No time constraints, no updates on who's missing, no elephants at this time, and the expectation is to get as much accomplished as possible. Thank you.
I'm doing fine. Oops, my name is Candy Messenger. I'm doing fine. I am the Food and Nutrition Services Director. No time constraints. Missing has been noted. I have no elephants, and my expectations is to continue to make progress.
Hi, I'm Suzette Rivera. I am doing well. I'm the Assistant Director for Recruitment. I have no time constraints. Missing has been noted. No elephants, and my expectations are to continue learning.
Good evening, I am Helen Martin. I am the Assistant Director of Professional Development. I'm doing well. I have no time constraints. The missing individuals have been noted. I have no elephants, and my expectations are to have a good session.
Hi, I'm Vivian. I'm doing fine, just tired. No time constraints. Missing noted. No elephants. And to get progress. Sorry for readers all
I'm Mandy Guzman, I'm the Director of the Department. I'm doing well today. No time constraints. You all noted who's missing, no elephants, and I think I want to continue learning as well.
I'm Amy French. I'm doing well today. I am coordinator of the Professional Development Department. I do have a time constraint of 6:30 today. Missing has been noted. I do not have any elephants, and my expectations are to
have a good session.
Okay, good afternoon, I'm Donna Mutzenard. I am doing very well. I have no time constraints. Missing has been noted, no elephants, and my expectation is to help you accomplish all those expectations. And with that, we have not had a written agenda, correct? Or is that what we do? Thank you. And we are going to talk about Article 10 compensation and voluntary transfer, MOU, and then checkout. But first, because we've had some changes this afternoon in bargaining representatives, we would like to call an executive caucus so that Jamie, Jonathan, and Rob and Will can talk for a few minutes. Where do you guys want to go? Yes, he did. And I know that was brought up, Jonathan. Compensation is on the agenda for this evening, so can we move forward even though that elephant is there? Jamie? Okay. So where would you guys like to meet?
Well, we'll go with
The Clipper Room? Okay. Just let us know when you're done and move forward with agenda?
I think we're gonna flip the agenda
Okay,
and do the voluntary transfer first.
okay. Ron?
No, that's correct. We're gonna just reverse the two. Will, do you want to get background on the MOU?
All right, so we're gonna start the story at the voluntary transfer MOU. All right, Bill?
So there was a request recently to try and draft an MOU that would, I think, kind of capture what the expectation of SPALC and the district have been recently regarding involuntary transfers for support staff. And this is something that I think has been the case for several years, but recently seems to have come up, and there have been more questions, concerns, issues around this, especially with some of the staffing shortages and other things that we're experiencing. So for instructional staff, there's a voluntary transfer period, and that's so that we're not disrupting student learning. For support staff, they're supposed to be able to transfer at any point during the course of the school year. There's some language in Article 5 that addresses how that's supposed to work for those voluntary transfers, which is basically someone's in a position currently, they apply for and get hired into another position. If there's a conflict between the two supervisors, the one that's currently supervising the person and the one that's trying to hire them, and then they're supposed to kind of work that out, and then if they're not able to, it comes to human resources, and then whoever the two supervisors are. What we've heard a lot of recently is that communication either hasn't been great. Supervisors are trying to, get a feel for how long is it going to take for someone to run an ad, find a replacement for the person, how soon is the person going to be able to start their other position, when are they going to be able to, train for their new position or train whoever their replacement is going to be. I think people have been trying to work that out on their own. Sometimes the communication with the employee takes place and everyone's aware of it and okay. In other cases, the employee kind of gets left out of that equation, or people don't have real clear picture of how long it's going to take to find someone, to fill in their place. And so they're not able to give that answer, and so it seems like the communication is not great, although they're saying, I just don't know when I'm going to be able to release this person. The other thing that's happened more recently is that there have been kind of domino situations where someone is leaving a school to go take a job at maintenance. And then that school is hiring someone from another school, which is hiring someone from another school, and they're hiring someone from another school. And so everyone thinks that, they're waiting 2 weeks to run the ad, and, the next school is waiting 2 weeks, and the next school is waiting 2 weeks. And there's someone kind of at the end of that line that has been waiting for 2 or 3 months even to start their new position. The contract says that in cases where there's a promotion, that's supposed to happen sooner. And I think the thought behind that has always been that we don't want there to be an economic, hardship for the person. SPALC has, I think, worked with the district on situations that are maybe not a clear promotion, but that there's a difference in someone's commute. And so they're able to carpool, or they don't have to drive as far, or there is some other economic impact to that employee, and trying to help kind of facilitate the release of that person so that the transfer can occur. One of the things that, again, I think has come up recently is that HR has tried to help administrators where, if you have an ESE paraprofessional that's going to become an ESE teacher, you're going to have a hard time finding a substitute paraprofessional, but you might have better luck finding a substitute teacher. And so HR has, in certain circumstances, kind of authorized that. I'm not aware of any situations where there's been the need to authorize additional overtime, but I would think that that would work too if someone has two jobs and can work, morning in one place and work some extra hours somewhere else. But I think at the end of the day, the interest was trying to set some time frames with some actions tied to them for what's supposed to happen when, so that everyone has clear expectations and so that it's not inconsistent from case to case, because we're hearing a lot more about people deciding to resign or quitting their current job and then still being hired into the other position. And so that's kind of a workaround, because people get frustrated that it's taking, as long as it's taking sometimes to, to do the release.
Okay, anything else to add to the story?
Will said it all. We've been struggling with it for a couple of years, but it's gotten worse this year with COVID and people wanting to transfer.
You need a microphone, Jamie.
Sorry. I think Will said most of it, a great deal of it, but it's gotten worse this year with COVID. Especially long distance travel with fuel going up and prices of everything going up, they're really looking at their budget. So a lot of people are looking at working closer to home to kind of be able to manage their finances. And sometimes they're just unhappy at a school and they need a new start somewhere else. And waiting for 5, 6, 7, 8 weeks is frustrating to them. And so they're sometimes just quitting and leaving the district rather than hanging on and going to the new location.
Okay, anything else? Anything from our school administrators to deal with this? Jason?
I just think it's important to note that this year I've noticed that it's very hard to find applicants for positions. I know we've run several ads where we've gotten 0 applicants, so some of that delay could be attributed to that.
Thank you. Jamie?
And also somebody was talking about the domino effect of it all, because you're taking from the different schools. And we do, well, in the elementary world, we do work really well together on it, but we do. But it's still hard, and we all know it's hard on each other, but there's just nobody applying for anything right now either.
Okay. Anybody else?
When I heard through the grapevine, not personally, but through the grapevine, the reason why nobody is applying to those jobs for paraprofessional positions is because of the pay. And also because when they heard through the grapevine, like Will said, when you get in and you might not fit in good with that position, then you want to move to another position, you have to wait those 8 weeks to get out of that position and go move on. And that's a hindrance to that paraprofessional or other staff members that's SPALC. So we do need to really focus on that. I really hope that we do, because it's 190 positions, right, Jamie? Is it 190 paraprofessionals?
Parents have been running about 90 a week.
Yeah. So yeah, you can post 50,000 positions. Nobody's applying. The word is out that a lot of people are dying. There's no money. The income is lousy. People's not trying to make ends meet. Mortgage is high. Food is high. Transportation, gas, all of that is high.
but no money is coming in. $13 an hour is not a lot of money, especially if you're not married and got another income coming in. And then half of that income is going to daycare.
All right, thank you, Vivian. Anybody else? All right, what are our interests in solving this issue? Jamie?
Employee morale.
Employee morale? Monitor? Yeah. She can have it. Any other interests? Amy?
Student achievement.
Student achievement? Fine.
Visibility.
Jamie?
Employee retention.
Okay. Anything else? Will?
I think clarity is one of the things that we had talked about.
Okay. Anything else? All right, so we have our interest. Oh, sorry, I'm Jason.
I think Helen first.
Okay.
Workforce success and customer service.
Okay.
I don't want to say equity, but I think that we're a system of school, like a whole district. So I think we have to be cognizant of like equity amongst schools too, for some of our harder to staff schools.
Okay. Anything else? Jamie?
Happy employees make happy students.
Okay, so that comes by through employee morale.
Yeah.
And student achievement and all of those. Anything else? All right, so the MOU is already written, or, well,
We have a draft that we were kind of circulating. I think we maybe shared it with SPALC, and then we're having payroll and staffing and a few others take a look at it to make sure that that we've kind of captured what we were looking for.
okay,
Basically, I think we had talked about kind of 2 weeks, 4 weeks, and 6 weeks as the milestones or deadlines. And so I think the thought was at 2 weeks, and that's when we would want the person to start getting the benefit of the pay from their new position. At 4 weeks, we would kind of expect that they would be at least sharing the responsibility of their old position with maybe someone new, and at 6 weeks they would be completely, in the new position. And those were timeframes that were kind of thrown out there. I think in the past, people have been able to accomplish that in 4 weeks. I think what we've been hearing more and more from principals is what you just heard, that these are not normal times, and so it's hard to find someone. It's taking sometimes a little bit longer to do that. The other thing I think is, in most cases, principals are doing it faster than 6 weeks. That's kind of in the extreme situations, and again, the employees that are having these issues are typically higher performing employees, because obviously, people are fighting over who gets to have them, come work at their location. So, I think that's something to be said as well.
Okay, so do we have some options here, other than the MOU that's circulating? Do we have timelines for that, or what's the final start for the MOU?
I don't know, I mean, I think there had been some conversation about, is it something that we should do through MOU? Should we bargain it? Should we send it back to labor management and have labor management bring, an MOU then to the bargaining team, and then we can decide as a bargaining team whether we want to, just kind of accept that or tweak it. But maybe the MOU would get things to be in place and effective sooner. So we're not waiting on ratification of the full tentative agreement and everything. I don't know what the group wants to do. I would kind of defer to the will of everyone else.
Thoughts, Jamie?
I think we need, sorry. Take microphone. I think we can talk about it in labor management, and we could do an MOU. However, it would take, to ratify that MOU is going to take some time, because our current, we applied to PERC to do the electronic ratification. This time it expires November 31st. So we would have to get FEA attorneys to apply again, which takes 3 or 4 weeks, which it might be better just to put it into the contract and go from there. I mean, we've agreed to it, and if all the principals are notified that we've agreed to it, then they will probably, the really good principals are gonna abide by it.
All right, so talk about it in labor management and then bring it back here to be added to the contract? Correct. Okay. That's one option. Do I have another option? For Jamie's rationale for not doing an MOU.
If we come up with an MOU and it's brought back to the bargaining team, and the bargaining team says it's okay, then we'll sign an MOU, but we would still like it to be into the contract. Okay. Incorporated into the next contract.
And then add it to the contract.
And some of the people sitting on our side don't know that this has even affected transportation employees, because it has been said that they can't go to a school. So yeah, they can voluntarily transfer, it's just getting everything in line and moving forward. I mean, security is having problems moving from one school to another. IT is having trouble moving from one school to another. So it's not just paraprofessionals, it's across the board, and we can't afford to lose any more employees in this school district.
All right, thank you for the clarification, Jamie. So we have 2 options. Yeah.
Yeah, I just need Jamie to clarify, because she said something expires November 30th.
So when we did this last ratification of MOUs, because we did electronic, you have to apply to the state of Florida through PERC to do an electronic ratification. They didn't give us one for a year like they did last year. They gave us one that expired October 31st.
And I think this had to do a lot with the COVID MOUs and all of that.
Yeah, no, I understand. So it expires October 31st, not November.
No, October 31st.
Okay, I'm sorry, I misunderstood.
So the conference takes place before it expires and then expires.
Not enough time to do another.
Okay. So I'm unclear of the logistics then, unless I'm misunderstanding. So you want to do an MOU and incorporate the language eventually into the contract. However, you can't do an electronic vote, is that what you're saying?
After October 31st.
If I might, the MOU, I'm sorry, the MOU will take effect, whatever date we have on the MOU. We don't have to wait till ratification of it for it to take effect. So it could get ratified with the rest of the contract, whenever that is, and then incorporated into the contract at that time. But the terms of the MOU can be incorporated prior to ratification, but at some point, it's got to get into the contract.
Right, understood, but you would not be putting this out for a ratification vote until the contract goes for ratification, is that what you're saying?
Correct.
Okay,
But it would take effect prior to that.
Correct.
understood, okay.
Unless we settle the contract tonight, then we're all done.
Thanks.
That wasn't one of the expectations, but hey, that's where we want to go. Are we okay?
Yeah.
All right, so we have two options. One is to talk with labor management and bring it back to be added to the contract. And then another one is bring an MOU back to bargaining team for approval, then add it to the contract. And that's with an effective date. Jamie?
Sign at number 2.
Okay, we have strong design number 2. You want to test? Remember, look at the interest, see if it meets our interest. Yep. The one she wants is bring the MOU back to bargaining team for approval, then add it to the contract. So that it would take effect before the contract actually ratified.
So it's still good to labor management.
Yeah. Would it still go to labor management, Jamie?
Yes.
Yeah, so basically, we need to add, labor management will bring back MOU back to bargaining. How's that? Is that covered?
Labor management, okay.
Okay? All right, so nominate the zones, and remember, up does mean you approve, you can live with it, or you do not approve of it. All right, looks like we're good. Voluntary transfers is done. Good job.
This is all moved.
Okay. Do we want to go right into compensation? That's the other thing on the agenda. Yep. Okay, let's get the paperwork settled, and then we will start the fun topic of compensation. All right, and who would like to start the compensation story? Okay. All right, Rob.
I just want to begin by, this is obviously a significant topic, and as the chief negotiator for the district, I just want to set sort of the ground rule that we're all ears, we're here to listen to you all. We know the pay inequities and possible pay issues that we have. We also know we have a significant shortage of personnel. And we also know that in some cases that's not all about pay. It's about other things. So we're here to listen to all of that and realize that someone might say, well, that's not compensation, but we're certainly aware that all of these kind of things go together, and it's important for us to listen and for you to listen to us and have a good conversation, which may take 2 or 3 sessions to get through, but just know that we're here to listen to you all. And I encourage all of you to be as open as you can to describe your situations or the situations of others, and to keep in mind that we're here to listen to you and try to make all of our situations better, because it's not helping anybody that we have the amount of openings and the amount of people leaving the district because of various reasons. But one thing that's clear to me is that individuals are looking for better situations, not just better pay. So we all have to try to figure that out. And with that, whoever wants to speak next, feel free.
All right, thank you, Rob. Ready, Jamie?
So we hear every day of how people are struggling, the cost of gas has gone up, the rents have gone up. I'm sitting here looking for a file. There are very few positions in this school district that somebody that is single, living by themselves, can work for the school district and be able to get basic needs. We've had very small raises. We've had raises, but they've been small raises over the last few years, except for some of those folks that are on market rate that have had some significant increases. But they're struggling hard. When their rent goes up $200 a month and they maybe got $36 increase in their pay last year, they're just not making it. I had a paraprofessional that worked in one of the Cape schools that when COVID shut us down, she didn't get any daycare money all summer. She got behind on her mortgage. And she worked last year, but she put her house up for sale, and when her house sold, she moved back up north with her parents. So some of our people are leaving because they have to. They have no choice. They cannot survive in Lee County at the pay that we're paying. I'm sure some other people have some stories here. You know, Social Security, cost of living next year is going up 5.9%. People just can't make it. I figured out one item on my grocery list, because I buy the same thing every week, 3 green peppers, 3 cents a piece, buy them every week. That's $4.68, one item on my grocery list. And everybody else is going through that. They're having to decide what to buy to eat. They're having to figure out what to let go to pay their rent, to pay their electricity. So, anybody else? Are these ones? Lee?
Is it on? Yes. Okay. In our department, we have, drivers and attendants that's homeless. They can't afford to pay rent. They're living with relatives. We have some senior drivers that's living with their children. I mean, they just can't rent, you know, and Lee County is going $1,500 a month, and people just cannot afford to pay their bills with the salary that we're making. Some people in our department get overtime, but some people don't, you know, and so if you take what a driver made and you add it into 7 hours, because that's all contract says that, you know, the district has to pay us. If our route is not 7 hours, we will get paid up to 7. And you times that a month, they can't pay rent. None of these employees can pay rent. We had drivers to leave, and they moved up to Texas because Texas gave them big sign-on bonuses. So they actually left the district. I can say in transportation, they're leaving because of the money. No other reason. They are leaving 90% of them because of the wages. We do have, you know, some COVID concerns. Thank God COVID is kind of, you know, going down for all of our states. We have drivers that are single parents. They can't even afford to do, you know, the extra things with their kids. Like Jamie said, they're worried about gas. We have bus attendants that can't even put gas in their cars to come to work. And every pay period, they're sitting in the lounges crying because they don't even know how they're gonna get to work the following week. So it is really, really bad. A driver sent me an article last week. In New Jersey, they're starting their bus drivers out with an hour. $1,000 bonus and $500 for every successful referral. Since COVID, people are really looking at their lives and they're really thinking, what is important to me? Is it important to me to go clock in on a job that's paying me $13, $16 an hour? Or is it important for me to move to another state where I can afford to pay my rent, where I can afford to, do the extra stuff with my kids or whatever? It is tough. And I have to say, for transportation, we get up in the middle of the night to go to work. We have some drivers get up at 2 o'clock in the morning just to get dressed to come to work. So transportation is the first department that's hitting the ground every day, and we're the last department going home every single night. We're up at 2 o'clock a.m. in the morning, and a lot of times we're not home until 11 and 12 o'clock at night. So, thank you.
Sam?
At the beginning of this school year, we lost a para who's been with the district for over 15 years. When it came down to it, as we were saying bye to her, she told me one of the reasons she was leaving was it got down to the fact that they figured out by cutting out a few things, her pay wasn't cutting it to cover the child care. So it was cheaper for her to stay at home and then try to live off of her husband's salary than for her to continue to come to work.
Thank you. Vivian?
And I myself, I'm sorry, but I myself is struggling. But I came out of my pocket to help other people and can't keep doing it. Or I'm gonna be homeless. But for a kid to come to me and say, Miss Hawkins, I don't have a pair of shoes, or I don't have food. I take my lunch money or my gas money and I go and buy a pair of shoes. So it's hard, and it's not the district fault. It's the government. We know that. We know that they don't push everything high. We barely can make it. We're not making it. I've done 28 years for the district. I started out with $6.84 an hour as a parent at Lamp School. And I thank God I had a husband then who made good money. But now my boys are grown. They went through the school system. They got good jobs. They got their wives and children and stuff. Now it's just me. Now I gotta take care of me. But I can't afford the rent. It's $1,300 for one bedroom. I don't make $1,300. I had to put gas in my car, I had to keep a car to get to work. So this is my story.
Anyone else?
Get emotion.
I have some more information.
Okay.
So a custodian that starts at $12.22 an hour makes $24,928.80. This is across the board. And this was rent before it went up, $1,200 a month. To buy a car, $236 a month. Electric, $200 a month. Car insurance, $1,500 a year. Food, $300 a month. Cell phone, $65 a month. So a beginning custodian at the end of the year, and this is even before taxes are out, they will clear $617 if they didn't have taxes taken out. That does not include clothes, does not include co-pays. That same custodian after 20 years comes out with $2,249. A paraprofessional at a non-Title I school, those same numbers making $12.76 an hour she's behind already, or he's behind already, $7,609. That para at 20 years is behind $2,992. A Title I para starts out at $1,388, and they're behind $6,000. After 20 years, they're still behind $1,784. A bus attendant, $11.75 an hour, with the number of hours they work, and I figured it at 7 because most of the routes are more than 7, $15,298.50. So they're behind $9,000. After 20 years, they're behind $5,368. Food service, $12.19 an hour. That's if they're a 6-hour employee. They start out $10,415 behind. Bus operators. Even bus operators, a brand new bus operator at $1,640, they start out $1,468.80, but they can earn overtime. A printer, because they work year round, they have it a little easier, but it's still a problem for them because they still have all of the same rents, the same food, the same electricity. But I haven't even included closed medical co-pays or anything that comes up, because the medical co-pays, depending upon their plan. So everybody's hurting in this county, and it's impacting the entire community. Okay, Will.
One of the things that I know that Jamie had shared with me too, kind of prior to this bargaining session, and some of the numbers that I know she was crunching, I know that there's a lot of financial advice that says that you need $2,000 in a savings account somewhere. That's kind of the right amount to make sure that if your car breaks down, or if you have a medical bill come due unexpectedly, that you've got enough that it's not going to disrupt your day-to-day living. And I know that with COVID, people have kind of blown through that. I think we were coming right off of Hurricane Irma, where people had blown through that, and that's again, if people are even at the point where they were able to have that kind of savings set aside as kind of a rainy day fund. We've also looked at some of the same things in terms of positions district-wide, and what the recommendation is for what portion of your income you should be spending on housing, or you should be spending on saving for retirement, or those sorts of things. And I know in talking to Bonnie and some of her staff, they were noticing that when COVID hit, people started to divert some of that money away from retirement, so that they would have it for day-to-day living expenses. It did some weird things in terms of the number of employees that were contributing to retirement accounts through their payroll deductions, where I think in some places it maybe even made the average contribution go higher, because people that were contributing a little said, I need that money back to cover bills and expenses. But I know, like you were saying, $1,200 a month for rent. I think we have what we've considered kind of the top 25 positions, and that's 25 positions that cover about 80-90% of employees in the district. 16 of those positions are SPALC positions, and I think like Jimmy was saying, with $1,200 a month rent, anyone working in one of those positions who's not working a second job, able to work overtime, taking on supplements, that sort of thing, likely is going to need a second income in order to cover what would be average housing in Lee County. And that's again based on our math on that. All of that was before COVID. We haven't looked at it since. I know home prices are through the roof. I have no idea what rent prices look like, but I don't see a whole lot of new apartments going up, and new apartments are typically the more expensive ones, so I don't know that that would really help anyway. But just wanted to kind of agree with, what you're saying in terms of people kind of feeling it from both ends.
Okay, anybody else?
I can speak from the security, standpoint of a security specialist. It's I've been in the district, I think this is my 11th year, and I don't make $20,000 a year at all. And I do have to work a second job, and I do have to do, I have a small business myself also. So if I didn't have those things, and my second job is her Serena, but I'm there 30, 35 hours a week. If I didn't have that, and I know a couple other guys, that are security specialists, that's what pushed me to, join the bargaining team, because those guys started talking about it, and someone needs to speak up for security. And literally we have to chase, and we get hit, spit on, kicked. We take all those things, and you pretty much risk yourself getting hurt every single day, and you can barely live off the income, that you're paid. And so it's like, most guys are saying now, is it worth the punishment for the pay? So a lot of them are starting to look at different jobs and want to leave the district. In our school, we need guys that are mobile and can do different things, because, Royal Palm, we have to chase kids, and, sometimes they become aggressive, and, we have to talk to them, and it's like we're counselors also. So you might sit with the kid for an hour and a half, trying to punch you, and you're, blocking it and moving back, and so it is, for the amount of pay we receive, it's kind of tough with what you have to go through.
Okay, thank you. And you have more to add?
I just wanted to add one thing. I know we're talking, and a lot of it, we're looking at the starting salaries, but one thing I would like to caution us all to remember is you have employees that have been with the district for 10, 11 plus years. If suddenly they're finding out that they're making as much as a new employee, we're going to lose them. And that's our experience. And then we're putting more money into training a new employee compared to continuing to grow an existing employee.
Thank you. I guess you can pass it for Arlene.
Thank you for that reminder. And that's exactly what's happening in transportation. I had a driver probably about a month ago, had a conversation with her at work, and she is a 17-year veteran, and the drivers that's coming in now make the same exact amount she makes, down to the penny. And when she found me, she was angry. So you have somebody just starting, and then, somebody basically having 20 years, they're making the same thing that should not be. I mean, it just shouldn't. And when we're talking about salaries, I totally agree. When I talk about salaries, I'm talking about, money for everybody, and I'm talking about money not only for the new employees, but for the existing employees also. And Will, you said you don't know how much rent is really, and you don't see no new new apartments coming up. Well, let me tell you, they're coming up on every corner, I can tell you. Right there on the corner of Schoolhouse Road, between Schoolhouse Road and Veronica Shoemaker, a couple of blocks that way. Those apartments are $1,800 a month. And I can tell you this, if somebody finds an apartment under $1,500 a month, they are lucky, because the average rent in Lee County is $1,500, and it's been $1,500 the last few years. They just put up some apartments, I think they probably got finished with them a year ago, on the corner of 41 and Michael G. Rip. Those apartments are starting out, you know, for $1,800 a month. It's tough. You know, people can't make it. And then Jamie said something about the bus drivers can make overtime. That's not totally true, because we have some bus drivers that, because they have small kids, they have to get their kids from daycare or from the babysitter. We also have some drivers that have parents, elderly parents, that they're taking care of. And then we have some people that have, you know, catch a ride to work with other employees. So even though transportation is that department that you could earn overtime, everybody is not able to stay there and get the overtime for, you know, a variety of reasons. So, yeah, some people only can work what contract says.
Will, and then you, Vivian. Oh.
So one of the other things, and I think you kind of touched on this too, with referencing some of the stuff about market rate, and at this point it was probably 4 or 5 years ago that we started having a conversation about moving to market rate. I know we looked at positions district-wide, and a lot of the positions in the SPALC bargaining unit were at about, you know, the 30th percentile, meaning about 70% of all positions, you know, similar positions in other organizations paid more. We were able to, in moving some of those positions to the market rate, start by moving them to the 40th percentile, then to the 50th percentile. And I think kind of as part of the story, and in what you were saying, we did have people who said, I've been here, you know, 12, 14, 15 years, and now someone coming, you know, fresh in is making the same as what I'm making. I think in some ways that's a statement of what we were paying even our experienced people. You know, that someone with 15 years of experience in a position was making the 50th percentile. They weren't even seeing the value of their experience beyond what is the average. One of the things I think we talked about last year in relation to that was looking at longevity pay. And I know there were a lot of different things kind of going on, but I know that with TALC we were able to get to an agreement that would allow for longevity pay to start at 10 years instead of 15. And trying to find a way to do some of the same thing, because I think teachers you know, are in the same boat where they've said we've put a lot towards keeping, you know, the bottom end of the salary schedule from sliding too far below. And so you have people right now, you know, with all of the money that the state directed, that are coming in making as much as someone with 14 years of experience as a teacher. So that's not necessarily unique to the SPALC bargaining unit, but I think again the fact that someone with you know, 16 years of experience is making the 50th percentile. We haven't accounted for what their performance looks like. We haven't accounted for, you know, their years of service. You know, that they have skills and certifications and licensures and everything above what would be, again, that base if you were looking at most other places. And so that's something I think that as we're talking about compensation that we've got to take into account too. And I think someone said something about you know, growing employees, and I know that SPALC and FEA have made that investment in supporting people, you know, if they want to go back to school. I think trying to figure out what some of those career paths look like might be another thing that we want to have a conversation about, because there might be positions that are, a foot in the door position, and again, to be able to give people the opportunity to, to move up, I think is something that would maybe be helpful as well. I think some of the best people we have in classrooms are paraprofessionals. No offense to some of the awesome teachers that we have out there, but we do have a lot of really awesome paraprofessionals, and I know being in the ESC classroom, and I'm sure others can say, being at a special center, there are people that without them you couldn't do it, and so I think we need to encourage people to take on those assignments as well, because they're challenging, they require more skill, and we really need those people as well.
Thank you, Vivian.
I'm glad you mentioned that, thank you. Because right now, I was in a gen ed position, but I had to go back to where I was in the behavior room because they needed me the most there. I worked at Royal Palm. It is hard. It was very hard, very stressful. You do get hit, you might get hit, you might get kicked, you might get spit on, you might be called all kind of bees. But it's less pay there. And these paras are getting frustrated. Sooner or later, Royal Palm's gonna be empty. Behavioral room's gonna be empty. We need for these people to feel comfortable in their position, and we need to show them that we care, and we need to show them that we appreciate them by giving them a little bit more when they're in these tough positions. I'm glad you brought that up, Mr. Wheeler. It's very important. Girls, we work hard. The ones that really want to be in the school district, love kids, we work hard for the little money that we get. It's not fair. And back to the apartments, I just want to say this. They are growing. I had a lady come to me and say, do I know a place in the projects, in the areas of these projects? They remodeled almost 100% of the projects in the Dunbar area. But if you get an apartment, it's $2,000 almost. $1,500, $1,300. And this is the project. So most of them probably get on Section 8. I said, well, if you get on Section 8, you might not get approved because you got a full-time job with the county school district. So let's be real. They are building these apartments on Winkler Avenue. They got a $200,000 home development right on Winkler, right down from the school district. $200,000 home on Winkler, right up the road. Who can afford that in that development? Why are they building that? You can't afford it. We make $13 an hour. So I told her to try to reach out and go through, put in all the applications she could put in everywhere. She said she found a 1-bedroom, and it was $900. She got 3 kids. She worked for the school district. She can't afford it.
All right, anybody else? Jamie?
Another issue with hiring, especially for transportation, is daycare for the bus drivers and attendants. So there are people that could be driving buses, but our daycares don't open before 6 o'clock, and they're on the road, 4:30, 5 o'clock to pick up 2 kids because depending upon their schools, and even then, if they find a route that they can get their kids to daycare, it's still very stressful for them. So daycares within the school district, within Lee County are very hard to find that open earlier than that for them to have daycare for their children.
Well.
I think with that too, and again, this is just kind of from what has been shared with us, you know, as Jamie mentioned, limited availability of daycare, and I think Jamie was maybe talking not just about you know, private daycares, but also about kind of before school and after school care. I know that we have also had the closure of some of those locations because of COVID and because of the COVID protocols, and you know, I'm sure it's got to be more expensive, you know, to run a facility like that with all the pandemic precautions and everything. One of the other things though, and I've heard this from transportation in the past, and it kind of echoes what Arlie said about people with overtime, is that there are people that because of public assistance, you know, whether it's Section 8, whether it's WIC, that they have, you know, kind of chosen to self-regulate their hours so that they stay below that income threshold, because they're able to get more dollars in public assistance than they're able to get those dollars in overtime. And I don't know that that's consistent everywhere, but you know, if you're getting you know, $10,000 in public assistance, that's a lot of extra overtime that you would have to work. And I know that they've said that's a challenge at times, because there are people that they would love to have work more, but they're not able to kind of compete with that. I also know, just again, things that have been shared. I know Food Services had said they appreciate the flexibility of people that are willing to move between locations and help cover, you know, when a kitchen has basically, you know, the entire staff out because of a quarantine situation. I think there's a lot of those employees that again are showing up to work every day, stepping up and taking on the extra workload, additional assignments, and just being flexible, you know, in whatever the assignment is for the day, they're there and they do it.
All right, anybody else? Ali?
Okay, I've been in transportation department now for almost 31 years, and I can guarantee you the people that you're mentioning, you just mentioned, Will, that is a very small percentage of our people. The majority of our people, if they are not working overtime, it's because they're riding to work with someone else because they can't afford their own car. They're taking care of their parents. They don't have the daycare before or after. You know, it's those reasons. The majority of our people are not working overtime because of some government program. You know, they're not working overtime because they cannot, because of different situations in their lives.
Okay, anybody else? Rob?
Yeah, I sit here listening, and we're up against so many things, and we're together in this because as great as it is that this state approved a $15 minimum wage, it truly doesn't go into effect till 2026. So, I mean, before I took this job and came back to the district, I was a housing law attorney for legal aid in Collier County representing people who were being evicted. So I understand where you're coming from. And the forces we're up against are not each other. But I think we can do things to try to help each other, and I think that's what we're going to have to do because no one else is going to help us. So, fortunately, the Biden administration has seen fit to send us some money that, you know, hopefully we can access, but it's not recurring money. It's not money we're going to be getting every year. It's because of COVID. And, but that's certainly something we're all going to take into consideration when we talk amongst ourselves over here on management. But I hear you, the woman in the middle, I'm sorry, what's her name in the middle there? Yeah, I mean, you know, I wanna cry with you. It's a horrible situation we find ourselves in, and all we can do is help each other.
Okay, anybody else? Yeah, I'm sorry. I just have one more thing to add, some more information to give you guys. I know Mr. Lloyd probably already gave y'all this information, but, as you guys know, we are down. When we started off this school year, 100 drivers. Transportation raw, okay? We get those kids to school every single day, and we are tired. So, guys, I was told last year, this is my second term on the bargaining team, but last year what I was told, and the thing that stuck with me the most was, whatever was put in our department or any department for salaries, that money could not be used for anything else but salaries. So, since we was down 100 drivers, and the drivers that you has basically taken up the slack. So we have 100 salaries out there in the budget somewhere. So, you know, when you guys are considering what kind of raises you're gonna give us, just please consider the amount of money that has already been saved in transportation this year and the amount of money that will be saved, because even with our RTMs in place, that's gonna save the district millions. Thank you. Okay, anything else?
Yeah. And I know, Arlise, we've gone back and had some stuff in the past, but the one thing you said, and I mean, maybe this sounds wrong coming from the district, but we're not going to give you anything. We're going to negotiate it.
Oh, I already know.
Okay, all right. So, I mean, I just want that to be clear.
I know.
You know, this isn't a take it or leave it business, so that's all.
Thank you. Anybody else? All right, do you want to take a break or a caucus or take a break? Break? Can we go caucus while we take a break? All right, so you want a caucus break? Yeah. How long? I don't know how long you guys. 10 minutes. 10 minutes? All right, we'll do 10 minutes.
All right, the district did not caucus, so can I get a caucus report from SPALC, please?
Well, it was kind of a caucus / break, pretty informal, but we did, I complimented our group on their powerful and impactful stories. As I said, this is all new to me, so having negotiations like this and being able to listen to these stories, I was impressed, and I told them so. We also talked about some things we might need moving forward, and we appreciate that we started off with Rob telling us, please, we're here to listen, this is important to us, and we appreciate that, because I think you heard quite a bit today, and it's meaningful. So, I think kind of what we'd like to do, hopefully, we have a sense of urgency, we do, and I think you do now, after hearing these stories, and we'd like to be able to talk some numbers at our next meeting. I do have, is this the time for a data request, Dawn? Yeah. Okay, if I could get a little data from you, that'd be super. I'd like to see the cost of the SPALC compensation settlement agreements for the last 5 years. I'm also intrigued by the top 25 jobs you mentioned, Will. I don't really know what that is, but if you have anything to share, I'd appreciate that. And I'm ashamed to say that this concept of market rate is new to me as well. Any information on that you could share with me would be greatly appreciated. But again, we think the sense of urgency was conveyed, and we do look forward and hope to speak about real figures at our next meeting.
All right, thank you, Jonathan. And you've got those requests? Okay, great. While you were on break, I did pull this compensation snapshot. And I think we pretty much, as Jonathan mentioned, and I know Rob and Will feel the same way, we've pretty much got a feeling for what's going on with everyone. And we looked at this, and I think we may be ready tonight to talk about longevity pay and degree supplements. Maybe come to agreement, maybe not, but at least get the conversation started, because that's all part of the compensation package. So, Will, do you want to start, or Rob?
So I can just kind of review some of the stuff that we talked about last year, and it's specific to the longevity pay. So I know that we had this conversation, I think, with SPALC and with TALC, and SPALC already has longevity pay in place. The check is issued once a year, and I would say, just in my own opinion, it's kind of confusing the way that it says, you know, it's X number of dollars, and then you add more dollars, and then you add more dollars, you know, as you have more years. One of the things that we talked about with SPALC last year, and this is what we kind of agreed on with TALC, was at 10 years, it would be one amount. At 15 years, it would be a different amount, a higher amount. 20 years, 25 years, and 30 plus years. I think we had a lot of conversation about how that's paid, and I think that, you know, whether it would count towards retirement was one of the topics of discussion. I think one of the things that kind of gave the bargaining teams pause last year, if I remember correctly, was that for one of the gaps, I think it moved it from 1,800 to 1,500, and so there was some concern that people would actually lose money in order to include that 10 years and up. And that was, again, just based on what the amounts were last year and the amount of money that we had available. But again, I think talc and administrators are now on that same kind of standard longevity pay. The other big difference is that it's based on years L, which is your total years of service to the district. So it's not consecutive years of service. If you took a year off, if you went and worked somewhere else for a while, it would be your total years of service, and that's regardless of what position you're in. So if you were a paraprofessional and then became a teacher and then became an administrator, all of those years would count towards longevity as measured by year L. And again, if you went and worked for another district for a couple of years and then came back, it's not, well, I've been here for 5 years this most recent time, but I've got 20 years total in the district. It would be, I've got 20 years total in the district. I get credit for all of them. So just in concept, that was kind of what we talked about. I don't know if there's any details of that I left out or anything that anyone had any questions about or.
Okay. Currently, employees, when you look at the contract, they need to read it 2 or 3 times to understand it, because it's when you complete that 15th year, when you complete that 20th year. So if you're in year 19, at the beginning of the year, you get that $150, but as soon as you complete that 20th year, then you add the $750 to that year, and then after that, you get the total at the beginning of the year. So it's confusing for employees currently the way it's written. They just have a hard time understanding it, and I know we had one employee that she had a year or 2 in, and then she left and came back, and she just, for 3 or 4 years, wanted that time counted, and because it reads you have to have consecutive years, she didn't get it. So that's a problem, and so some of these folks leaving and coming back, it impacts their longevity the way it's written now. Okay, thank you. Will?
I can say too, and I think I actually even know which employee it is that Jamie's referring to. I think that one of the things that we looked at was with years L, no one would have their years go down, and some people would actually have their number of years go up. Again, because you do have people who, they have a child and so they take some time off, or they have, some other major life event and they decide to step away for a little while. But again, it wouldn't negatively impact anyone in terms of the number of years counted. And if I remember correctly, years L is updated once annually, and it's July 1, for everyone. So that's another, I think, thing is everyone would have their years updated at the same time rather than, you having to remember what your hire date was and check your paycheck after that one or the next one to make sure that it's there, which I think payroll appreciated because they would get the updated information through PeopleSoft and it would have everyone's and they could check them and say, how is it compared to last year and do it in one fell swoop rather than, having to look at each individual, paycheck to see who should or shouldn't have received more.
Okay. Anything else? We've had longevity pay and degree supplements under the same thing. Do we have anything on degree supplements? Or do we need to take these separately?
I can provide story on that too. I don't want anyone to think that I'm dominating the conversation.
Do you want to do longevity pay and come up with some options, or do you want to? All right, pass the mic to Vivian, please. Thank you.
The longevity pay has been a very, very good thing for a lot of employees that have been starting out in the district and to the end, because me, myself, I started out and I thank the district, but it makes me feel more important. In my 5th year, I got a pen.
Said 5 years on it. I wore that pen so proudly. My 10th year, I got a pen. And I think my 15th year, that's when I started receiving the 150. I'm like, oh my God, $150, that meant a lot. And then so on and so on and so on. I'm like, that money is there. So when we're not working from June, July, and August, we don't get a check, so we have to spread that little summer, what you call a summer check, all the way to August the 15th. Well, we used to get paid for 5 days on August the 15th, which now they put that in a hole, and we get, I think the August the 31st, we get a full check, and then we get the longevity, which that helps out a lot. It really does. It helps out a lot. It makes you catch up on a lot of bills and behind credit cards, car payment, all of that. It really helps out a lot. That's one thing I can say about the school district. That bonus, I call it a bonus, because I'm very proud of it. And it really helps. Appreciation, or whatever they want to call it, longevity, or whatever they want to call it. I call it appreciation. I really respect this district for that, because that means a lot. I don't think that we should bother it, and that's my opinion. I think we should look other, because everybody respectfully is looking for that, and they feel like that's something that they're getting from the district that makes them proud. Even though I enjoy playing my pen, I still have every last pen. I still have my pen. That money really helped me raise my kids when my ex-husband and I divorced. So that money helped out, and we got that money in. I look for that money every year in August.
And I don't think anybody's talking about taking it away.
Oh, okay.
No, I think we're just talking about clarifying some of the language, and if anything, something else might happen, but I don't think anybody's talking about taking it away from it. So keep enjoying it. Thank you. Anybody else? Okay. Rob?
No. Nobody's talking about taking it away, it's just the TALC agreement has, I just looked at both of the language for both agreements. TALC's language is more understandable. And there's 5 tiers versus 3 for SPALC. So TALC goes from 10 to 14 years, 15 to 19 years, 20 to 24 years, 25 to 29 years, and 30 plus years. SPALC is only at 15, 20, and 25. So just different language, which is not unusual, but a lot of the contracts, in these 2 contracts, at least in my time here and probably in the years since, some of the language where there's similar provisions have been made consistent somewhat, depending on what the issue is.
Okay.
15, 20, and 25.
Yeah, that's about 15. Okay, so is there anything else on longevity pay? Do we have any, we have interest up here, recruitment and retention, morale, student achievement, respect, manageability, affordability, living wage. Do we need to add any interest? I think I heard kind of clarity mentioned.
So does the district have amounts to go with that 10, 15, 20, 25, 30?
In the TALC contract? I mean, I could just tell you what the TALC contract says. I'm not necessarily proposing an option yet. TALC is 10 to 14 is $250. I don't know if somebody wants to, you want to take this down? 15 to 19 years is $500. 20 to 24 is $1,000. 25 to 29 years is $1,500. And 30 plus is $2,000.
Okay, so question. At 15 years, do they get the 250 and the 500, or just the 500?
Just the 500.
Okay, because that's where there's a difference. Ours, every time you add, you start out the 150, then you add the 750, then you add the 900. So at 25 years, you get 1,800. So, yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, that helps clarify? Okay. Anything else on longevity? If you don't have any options to propose right now, we can wait till the next time we meet. You have time to think about it and compare the language in both contracts and see, if that's okay. Will, are you?
No, sorry.
Okay, that's okay. So is it all right if we just leave this for now, come back and give time for people to digest what was just said about the two contracts and Jamie?
I have two more questions.
Okay.
Does the TAP one count towards retirement? And does the TAP one, is it paid out?
That's a yes. People are yes.
Yeah, I saw the phone.
Yeah, but.
And is the TAP one, is it written out in a check or is it put into their base pay?
Wait a minute, checking on that one.
Payment is spread equally among paychecks throughout the fiscal year for TAL.
Okay. Any other questions, Jamie?
Not that I thought of right now.
Okay. So do we have options or do we want to move on? And
I think we need to discuss it amongst ourselves first before we put up options.
okay, all right. Ron?
Yeah, I mean, we can supply the data next time, how many people would fall in each category under the current TAL language, so to speak.
Right. All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, so do you want to jump to supplements? Degree supplements, not just supplements, degree supplements? You're okay with that? Will, you want to start? Yeah, Will?
So I don't know that we did have any conversation about this in bargaining last year. I think it was maybe something that was discussed in labor management and not in bargaining. But I think again, trying to borrow from where we felt like things are working well in other places. The TAL contract has language around advanced degree supplements. And I think salary schedule N and the administrator salary schedule also offer degree supplements. I think that SPALC had expressed an interest in trying to look at doing something similar, but rather than it being advanced degrees, having it be highest degree. Which would allow for us to award a supplement to someone with an associate's degree, a bachelor's degree, potentially to do the same thing for someone with a trade certification. Again, I don't think we got real far into that conversation. I know that one of the things that we looked at was we have a number of employees who were hired in during times either before PeopleSoft, tracked all of that information. So we maybe don't have indicated in PeopleSoft what that person's highest degree is. We have people who, didn't track down high school transcripts. They've been working here long enough, that those weren't something that were asked for at the time of hire, and at this point it might be burdensome to ask them to go back and find high school transcripts from 30, 40 years ago. Other area, again, and this just kind of layer of uncertainty, we've had people hired at different points in time where high school diploma requirements were waived by the board. And so some of those people maybe don't have a high school diploma or GED. I know that one of the things that SPALC and FEA have been promoting is their program that offers people the ability to get an associate's degree, and I think now even a bachelor's degree through an online program. And I know one of the other things that had been discussed was some way of identifying those people who were hired when we had one of those waivers for high school education, and being more proactive in trying to get them enrolled in GED programs. I think it's advertised to them right now, but I think that's been kind of a limiting factor, that those people then are stuck in that job, because when they apply to a position somewhere else, the first thing they ask is, do you have the degree? And they don't, so that kind of limits some of the job career mobility of some of our employees. And in some cases, again, some of our, employees that have been here for a while and are high-performing employees.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else? Anything to add to that? No? All right, it sounds like that was just kind of what we'd like to discuss further and look into a little bit. Don't think they need any data on that or data on that?
I think at one time we discussed amounts, and if you could bring that back as data.
All right, anything else, Jamie?
I want to tell you that Vivian finished up her AA degree with Eastern Gateway, and she called me, and I said, send your transcript to the district.
It was hard. I locked myself up in the room and
Jonathan, did you want to say something? Did you have a request?
No, it's not really a request, just a comment. I'm glad to hear the conversation. I know you mentioned earlier, grow our own program. This kind of melds right in with that, and some of your neighboring locals or districts have some compensation for advanced degrees or more degrees for our personnel, SPALC folks. Anyway, I'm just glad to hear the conversation, that's all.
Okay. Anybody else? Will?
One other thing, and I don't know exactly how this fits in, but I know that we had kind of flagged that we wanted to have some conversations around professional development, and this is again trying to steal best ideas from different contracts and use them other places. I know that SPALC has language about people receiving a supplement for taking a certain number of courses at one of the technical colleges. And I know that was something that was discussed, that, again, that's helpful if you're, working in maintenance, or if you're interested in learning a skilled trade or moving into another position, but for not maybe something that every position, can do. I know we talked about clinic assistants and trying to get some courses and some scheduling so that if people wanted to become CNAs or LPNs, that there would be the flexibility of schedule to kind of have that. I know that one of the other things that came up was, for paraprofessionals, as they're moving up, some of them are maybe doing in-service hours and learning things about classroom management through professional development, and we don't reward them other than their hourly rate for that, or sometimes not even that, because they're doing it during the course of their normal workday. So I don't know if some of that conversation kind of crosses over, but again, I think the underlying interest in a lot of it was encouraging people to be lifelong learners and to continue to build their skill set.
Okay, thank you. Jamie?
Currently, they have to complete 24 hours to get the $125, and that equals $5.21 an hour. But one of the requirements is before they even take a class, they have to get their principal to sign off on it. So if they don't sign off of it before the class, they don't even get the $125. So that's been a major sticking point. They'll go take a class and then find out that their principal needed to sign before, not after.
Okay. Anything else? All right, I think we've come up with a lot to think about this afternoon, or this evening, and it's been a lot of several data requests. Ross?
Yeah, Jamie, what specifically are you talking about?
In the contract, there's a supplement for support for you completing 24 hours of training. You have to get your principal to sign, and most of the in-service credits are what, 4.4 hours, whatever it is. So you have to take multiple classes over up to 2 years to get that $125. That language is so old and so out of date that it equals $5.21 an hour for you to do that. And you can't even find the paperwork for it anymore, because I had somebody ask me for the paperwork and I said, I don't even know where it is.
Yeah, it does, and it does say specifically that the employee should submit an application to the principal or director indicating the course requested and justification of relevance to the employee's position prior to enrolling in the course. So I think that's what she was talking about. Thanks, Jamie.
Okay. Anything else? All right, I believe our next scheduled meeting would be November 1st. Is that right? I think it is. I don't have my calendar in front of me, but the day after Halloween. Everybody will be crashing from their sugar highs. Jonathan?
If I could make a request, I know you can't commit to it, but if you do not get an opportunity to meet with your school board and get the authority to talk about specific numbers here, could you let us know, and maybe we would consider moving the next date?
Yes, we absolutely will let you know.
Thank you.
All right, with that, I'd like to do just a quick checkout. And everybody gave us expectations tonight, and I'd just like you to tell us if we met your expectation, rate from 1 to 5, with 1 as the lowest and 5 as the highest. So.
5.
5. Yeah, you have to write it down, so. Yeah. Maybe it's gonna record. Okay. I don't know that much, you gotta say it out loud. 5.
5.
3.
What was it?
3.
3.
5.
5. 4. 5. Amanda, 4. 5. 4. And 4. All right, thank you everyone for being here this evening, and have a good couple of weeks, and hopefully we'll see you in November 1st. Thank you.